Every great city has its secrets, buried not just in forgotten archives, but deep within its very foundations. They exist as whispers, passed between late-night commuters and metro workers, slowly crystallizing into modern folklore. In our city, the most persistent of these tales is the story of a ghost station, a platform built and finished, yet never open to the public. A place that doesn't appear on any official map, but which some swear they have seen. They call it Aura Station. The legend takes many forms. Some late-shift train operators, navigating the dark arteries of the metro system after midnight, speak of a flicker in the tunnel lights, a brief, phantom-like glimpse of a fully tiled platform where there should only be concrete and rock. They describe ornate pillars and faded posters from a bygone era, all illuminated for a split second before the train plunges back into darkness. It's a story told with a nervous laugh, dismissed as a trick of the light or a symptom of fatigue. Yet the story endures. Among urban explorers and conspiracy theorists, Aura Station is more than a legend. It's a holy grail. They trade grainy, inconclusive photos and second-hand accounts online, piecing together a puzzle with half the pieces missing. One popular rumor claims that if you're on the last northbound train on the Crimson Line, and you press your face to the window just after passing the old industrial district, you might see it. Others speak of a strange, hollow sound that can sometimes be heard from the ventilation grates on street level above its supposed location. A faint, ethereal hum, as if the station is still breathing. Of course, the city's transit authority officially denies its existence. Ask them, and you'll get a polite, well-rehearsed statement about unfounded rumors and no records of such a facility. To them, Aura Station is a fiction, a ghost story for the digital age. But is it? Legends, after all, are rarely born from nothing. They are often distorted echoes of a forgotten truth. The goal of our investigation is to peel back the layers of myth and speculation to find the core of that truth. What if Aura Station wasn't just a flight of fancy? What if it was real and its story was deliberately erased? To move beyond whispers, we must turn to cold, hard evidence. Our investigation leads us to the City Municipal Archives, a quiet, climate-controlled building where the city's memory is stored on miles of shelving. Here, amidst dusty blueprints and reels of microfilm, the first concrete traces of Aura Station begin to emerge. It wasn't always a ghost. It was once a dream, meticulously documented. The plans date back to the late 1960s, an era of bold ambition and civic optimism. City planners envisioned a massive expansion of the metro system, a project known as the Zenith Line. It was designed to connect the burgeoning downtown financial district with the newly developed suburbs to the north, a gleaming symbol of a city on the rise. Dozens of documents outline its grand scope: new tunnels, state-of-the-art trains, and a series of modern stations designed by prominent architects. And there, right in the heart of the proposal, is our station. On the blueprints, it's officially designated Northgate Interchange, not Aura. It was intended to be a critical junction, a sprawling two-level station connecting the new Zenith Line with the existing Crimson Line. The architectural drawings are incredibly detailed. They show a station that was far from ordinary. Unlike the utilitarian designs of its contemporaries, Northgate was envisioned as a showpiece. Renderings depict soaring ceilings, wide-open concourses, and walls meant to be adorned with large-scale mosaics. The budget allocated to it was nearly double that of other stations on the proposed line. Officially, this was justified by its role as a major interchange and its location in a geologically complex area. For a time, it was the jewel in the crown of the city's future. Then, in the winter of 1973, everything stops. The paper trail abruptly ends with a single, dryly worded memorandum. The Zenith Line project, it states, is postponed indefinitely. The official reasons cited are a perfect storm of bureaucratic roadblocks. Sudden, drastic budget cuts driven by a national economic downturn, and a revised urban development plan that shifted focus away from the northern suburbs. The file is stamped closed, and just like that, Northgate Interchange vanishes from all future public transit maps. The official story is neat, tidy, and utterly devoid of mystery. The city simply ran out of money and changed its mind. Case closed. But as any good investigator knows, the tedious explanations are often the most suspicious. Buried deep within the financial addendums, we find the first thread to pull. While the public-facing documents cite budget cuts, the internal ledger shows that the funding for Northgate Station wasn't just cut, it was rerouted. A massive sum was transferred to a vaguely titled Special Projects Division under the Department of Public Works, an entity with no other publicly documented projects before or since. It's a small detail, an accounting anomaly easily missed. But it's the first sign that the official story is incomplete. The money didn't disappear, it was just hidden. Archives can only tell us the official story. To find the truth, we needed to find someone who was there. Someone who remembered the project not as a file, but as a cacophony of drills and a maze of wet concrete. After weeks of cross-referencing old municipal employee rosters with public records, our search led us to a quiet retirement community on the city's outskirts. It was there we met Arthur Finch. Now in his late 80s, Arthur was a junior civil engineer on the Zenith Line project back in 1972. His memory for technical details remains as sharp as a draftsman's pencil. Northgate? Oh, I remember Northgate, he told us, his eyes looking past us, into a memory 60 years old. We all thought the budget on that thing was insane. They had us pouring concrete 3 times thicker than any other station. The rebar we were laying, it was the kind of reinforcement you'd use for a military bunker, not a public transit hub. Arthur confirmed that construction was significantly advanced when the plug was pulled. The platforms were poured, the main concourse was framed, and tiling work had even begun on the lower level. The official reason, a lack of funding, never sat right with him. You don't pour that much money and concrete into the ground and then just walk away because you're a few million short, he scoffed. He also remembered something else, the regular presence of men in suits who weren't from the transit authority. They were quiet, observed the work from a distance, and their questions were always about structural load-bearing and ventilation capacity, not passenger flow. Arthur's testimony provides a voice from the past. For a modern perspective, we had to go deeper into the clandestine world of urban exploration. Through encrypted channels, we made contact with a well-known explorer who goes by the alias Cypher. He claims to be one of a handful of people to have successfully infiltrated Northgate Station within the last decade. He agreed to speak on the condition of anonymity. It's a concrete tomb, Cypher's voice crackled over a secure line. But it's pristine. The air is dead still, and the silence is so total it rings in your ears. The tile work on the Crimson Line platform is almost perfect, just covered in a thick layer of dust. We even found ghostly, faded outlines on the walls where advertisements were supposed to go. His account corroborated Arthur's story about the over-engineered construction. But Cypher found something Arthur couldn't have known about. At the far end of the lower platform, behind a temporary wall that had long since crumbled, he found something that wasn't on any of the public blueprints. A massive, sealed corridor. It wasn't boarded up or bricked over. It was a solid wall of heavily reinforced concrete, with a sealed steel door set into it, its locking mechanism cut off and welded shut from the outside. It felt different from the rest of the station, Cypher explained. The rest was abandoned. This was sealed. Intentionally. Whatever that passage leads to, someone wanted to make absolutely sure no one ever got inside. 2 witnesses, separated by decades, telling 2 parts of the same story. One remembers building a fortress. The other found a sealed vault within it. The mystery of Northgate Station was no longer just about why it was abandoned, but what it was truly designed to hide. Armed with the testimonies of Arthur and Cypher, we re-examined the archival blueprints of Northgate Interchange. What was once a collection of historical documents now felt like a treasure map, filled with hidden clues. We weren't just looking at what was drawn. We were looking for what was intentionally obscured. This is where the pieces click into place. The first and most glaring anomaly was the one Arthur mentioned, the sheer mass of the construction. Cross-referencing the structural plans with engineering standards from that era confirmed his suspicion. The specifications for steel reinforcement and concrete thickness weren't just excessive. They were astronomical. The load-bearing columns and the outer shell of the station were designed to withstand pressures far beyond what would be required to support the Earth above it. We ran the specifications by a modern structural engineer who put it bluntly, "This isn't designed to keep soil out. This is designed to survive a direct, surface-level cataclysm." The second discovery was hidden in the schematics for the HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. A normal metro station's ventilation is a simple, high-volume system designed to circulate fresh air for passengers. Northgate's was anything but simple. Layered underneath the main public ventilation plans was a completely separate, secondary system. This wasn't for public comfort. It was a closed-loop, overpressurized air supply with intake vents disguised as utility sheds blocks away from the station itself. Most tellingly, the plans indicated triple-filter scrubbers designed to remove not just dust, but chemical and radiological contaminants. This was life support, plain and simple. But the final key, the detail that connected everything, was Cypher's sealed corridor. On the main architectural blueprints, it didn't exist. It was simply a thick, featureless wall. However, by overlaying the electrical and plumbing schematics, documents rarely scrutinized by historians, we found it. The sealed corridor was designated as a utility conduit, but it was connected to its own independent power grid and a dedicated water line. This conduit didn't lead to another part of the station. According to the plans, it branched off and led to a series of large, empty chambers located adjacent to the main station structure. These chambers were not part of Northgate Interchange. They were a separate, windowless facility that just happened to share a wall with it. The blueprints didn't lie. They just told two different stories at once. The Northgate Interchange, with its grand concourse and decorative mosaics, was a brilliant piece of misdirection. It was a concrete iceberg. Only a fraction of its true purpose was ever meant to be seen. The public station was the perfect camouflage, a plausible and expensive civilian project whose construction could hide the creation of something far more secret, nestled right beside it. The puzzle pieces are all on the table. A phantom budget, bunker-grade walls, a hidden life support system, and a sealed corridor leading to a void. When pieced together, they form a picture that is both shocking and, in the context of its time, perfectly logical. Northgate Interchange was never just a metro station. It was a Trojan horse made of concrete and steel. Its primary purpose was not to serve commuters, but to protect the city's leadership in the event of the unthinkable. The evidence points to one inescapable conclusion. Northgate Station was built as a cover for a highly classified continuity of government, COG, facility, a secret, nuclear-hardened bunker from which the city could be run after an apocalyptic attack. This revelation recontextualizes every anomaly we discovered. The insane construction budget wasn't for a transit hub. It was the cost of building a subterranean fortress capable of withstanding a nuclear blast. The mysterious men in suits were not transit officials. They were likely federal agents or military planners overseeing a project of national security. The sophisticated, sealed air filtration system wasn't for public health. It was to provide breathable, non-radioactive air to the bunker's occupants for weeks or even months. And the sealed corridor that Cypher discovered? That was the main entrance. The public station was merely the lobby, an elaborate, convincing, and ultimately disposable piece of camouflage. The plan was ingenious. How do you excavate a massive secret facility in the heart of a dense city without raising suspicion? You hide it in plain sight under the guise of the largest, most complex public works project the city has ever seen. The noise, the trucks, the deep earth drilling. It was all explained away by the public-facing story of the Zenith Line. This was a product of the Cold War's chilling paranoia. The project's conception in the late 1960s places it squarely in an era when global nuclear annihilation felt like an imminent threat. Across the Western world, governments were secretly building these doomsday bunkers. Northgate was simply our city's version. The official story of the project's cancellation was the final, brilliant stroke of misdirection. The project wasn't abandoned due to a lack of funds. Its secret component, the bunker, was likely completed. Once the secure facility was finished and sealed, the public-facing station part of the project could be officially terminated. This action effectively erased the location from public consciousness, sealing its secret not just with concrete, but with bureaucracy. Aura Station wasn't left unfinished. Its true mission was accomplished, and then it was meant to be forgotten. So what is Aura Station today? It is not a ghost. It is a silent, dormant giant sleeping beneath the city's feet. The train operators who catch a fleeting glimpse of its tiled platforms are not seeing an apparition. They are seeing the real, physical remnants of the most elaborate piece of camouflage our city has ever produced. The whispers and legends are the distorted echoes of a truth far stranger and more chilling than any ghost story. The facility is almost certainly still there, sealed and silent. Its existence is a carefully guarded secret, a forgotten footnote in a classified budget, known only to a dwindling few in federal agencies. It is a monument, not to a victory or a person, but to a silent, pervasive fear. It's a relic of an era when humanity lived with its finger hovering over the self-destruct button, and rational governments made irrational preparations for the end of the world. It stands as a testament to the sheer scale of the Cold War's shadow, a paranoia so profound it was literally cast in concrete and buried deep underground. Today, the world has changed. The immediate threat of global thermonuclear war has receded, replaced by new and different anxieties. The secret bunker beneath Northgate Station, once a critical piece of national security infrastructure, is now functionally obsolete, a solution to a problem that no longer exists in the same way. It is a time capsule preserving not just the architecture of the 1970s, but the fears of that time as well. And so it remains, a concrete sarcophagus holding not a king, but an idea. Every day, millions of people walk and drive and live on the streets above. They ride the real metro lines, their trains rattling the earth just meters away from its sealed walls, completely oblivious to the monument to a war that was never fought that lies just beneath their feet. The ghost of Aura Station is real, but it doesn't haunt the tunnels. It haunts our history, and down there in the cold, absolute dark, it sits, waiting,